I was holding the office birthday cake. Mine when I heard him say it. Mallory's talented but she's replaceable. My uncle. My boss. The man who raised me after Mom died. He was laughing with the exec team like I didn't exist, like those words wouldn't cut through everything we'd been to each other. The cake slipped from my hands. Frosting splattered across my heels, white and pink smearing the polished floor. The room went silent for half a second, then everyone looked away. Nobody helped. Nobody even acknowledged what just happened. I stood there, frosting on my shoes, humiliation burning in my chest. Uncle Ray, Mr. Halston at work, glanced at me with this look. Not pity. Not guilt. Just mild annoyance, like I'd interrupted something important. Someone get that cleaned up, he said. Not, are you okay? Not, happy birthday, Mallory. Just an order for someone else to fix my mess. I walked out of that room with frosting still on my heels. My hands were shaking but my face stayed calm. I've learned how to do that. 6 years working under him taught me how to swallow everything down. But something shifted in me that day. They thought I was replaceable. I'd show them just how wrong they were. He didn't even try to hide it. The senior account manager position I'd been working toward for 6 years? The role I'd earned through late nights, lost weekends, and deals I'd closed while everyone else went home? He handed it to Logan Pierce. His godson. 26 years old. 4 months at the company. 0 experience managing accounts. It's a family decision, Uncle Ray said when I asked him why. I stared at him across his desk. The same desk where he used to help me with homework when I was 15. Where he told me I'd always have a place in his company. I'm family, I said quietly. He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. You're an employee, Mallory. There's a difference. That was it. No explanation. No apology. Just a line drawn in the sand. I was family when it was convenient. When he needed someone loyal, someone who'd work harder than anyone else because I owed him. But when it came to real opportunities, I was just staff. Logan started the following Monday. He wore expensive suits and an easy smile. Everyone loved him immediately. He had Uncle Ray's charm, that same ability to make people feel important. I watched him shake hands and laugh. And I took notes. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't storm out. I sat through that announcement meeting with a frozen smile, nodding when people congratulated Logan. My face stayed perfectly pleasant while my throat burned with words I couldn't say. Congratulations, I told Logan afterward. He grinned. Thanks, Mallory. Uncle Ray says you'll help me get up to speed. Uncle Ray. Not Mr. Halston. He got to use the family name. Of course, I said. Inside I was screaming. But outside, I took notes. I watched how Uncle Ray treated Logan versus how he treated me. I watched how Logan got praised for showing up on time while I got criticized for leaving at 6. I watched how mistakes I made were unprofessional while Logan's were learning experiences. I documented everything. Not because I had a plan yet. Just because something in me knew I'd need this information someday. That night I stayed late in my cubicle. The office was empty except for the cleaning crew. I opened a new folder on my computer and labeled it Records. I started copying emails, performance reviews, client feedback, every piece of proof that showed what I'd actually accomplished here. They thought I was replaceable. I'd prove I was the only thing holding this place together. Mom died when I was 14. Car accident. One moment she was there, the next she wasn't. Dad had left when I was 6. I barely remembered him. So when Mom died I had nobody. Uncle Ray stepped in. He was Mom's brother, the successful one. He took me into his home, paid for my school, gave me everything I needed. Your family, he'd said. Family takes care of each other. I believed him. He paid for my college. Business degree just like he suggested. Then he offered me a job at Halston and Associates. Entry level, but it was something. Work hard, he told me. Prove yourself. I don't give handouts. So I did. I worked harder than anyone. Stayed later. Took on extra projects. Learned every system, every client, every process. But every achievement came with a reminder. I gave you this opportunity, Mallory. Remember who believed in you when no one else did. Don't forget what I've done for you. Every gift had strings attached. Every kindness was a weight I carried. I owed him. He made sure I never forgot that. But debt isn't the same as loyalty. And gratitude isn't the same as respect. At work he made me call him Mr. Halston. even when we were alone. Even in meetings where everyone knew we were related. It's professional, he said. We can't show favoritism. But Logan called him Uncle Ray from day one. In meetings. In emails. In front of clients. Nobody corrected him. I watched Logan lean back in his chair during strategy meetings, laughing at Uncle Ray's jokes, offering half-baked ideas that got praised as fresh thinking. Meanwhile, I presented detailed analysis backed by data, and got told I was overthinking things. Loosen up, Mallory, Uncle Ray said once. Not everything needs a spreadsheet. But when Logan's casual approach lost us a client, suddenly detailed analysis mattered again. Mallory, can you fix this? Uncle Ray asked. Not Logan. Me. I fixed it. Of course I did. And Logan got the credit for the recovery. The message was clear. I was family when he needed something. When it was convenient. When I was useful. But I wasn't family where it counted. I was staff. I was the backup. I was replaceable. He made sure I knew my place. So I started planning how to change it. Logan started dismantling everything I'd built. He changed client strategies I'd spent months developing. Ignored protocols that kept projects on track. Made promises we couldn't keep and commitments that contradicted our agreements. The Hartford account, my biggest client, 3 years of relationship building, started getting nervous. We're getting mixed messages, their VP told me on a call. Is there new leadership we should know about? Just some restructuring, I said smoothly. I'm still your primary contact. I wasn't. Officially Logan was. But I kept working with Hartford behind the scenes, keeping them calm, fixing Logan's mistakes before they became disasters. When the renewal came through, Uncle Ray congratulated Logan in front of the whole team. This is what fresh energy brings, he said. Great work, Logan. Logan beamed. He genuinely believed he'd done it. I smiled. I nodded. I said nothing. But I took notes. Every email where Logan ignored my advice. Every meeting where I corrected his mistakes. Every client call where I smoothed over his fumbles. I documented it all. Logan's got real potential, Uncle Ray told me privately. You could learn something from his approach. Absolutely, I said. And I smiled. I started helping the clients Logan was fumbling. Quietly. Off the record. When he made promises we couldn't keep, I'd reach out separately and manage expectations. When he missed deadlines, I'd stay late and complete the work myself. When he pitched strategies that made no sense, I'd follow up with clarifications that actually fixed everything. Logan got the credit. Every time. But the clients knew. Sarah Chin from Meridian Corp pulled me aside after a quarterly review. You're the one actually running things, aren't you? She said quietly. I gave her a careful smile. Logan's the account manager. Right. She didn't look convinced. Well, whoever's doing the actual work. Keep it up. That's why we're renewing. I got comments like that more and more. Whispers in hallways. Knowing looks in meetings. Clients who specifically requested me on calls, even though Logan was supposed to lead them. The VP of our biggest account, Techline Solutions, literally said, You're the one keeping this place from burning down, aren't you? I played it modest. Just doing my job. But I made sure to document every conversation. Every email where clients praised my work. Every time someone acknowledged what was really happening. Evidence. That's what I was building. I closed a $1 million renewal deal without Logan even realizing it. Westbridge Media was one of our legacy accounts, but they'd been unhappy for months. Logan had been their primary contact and had completely mismanaged the relationship. They were ready to walk. I started having quiet conversations with their CFO. Lunch meetings that weren't on the company calendar. Late-night emails from my personal account. I rebuilt the trust Logan had destroyed. When renewal time came, I let Logan present his pitch to the exec team. He fumbled through it using slides I'd prepared but didn't understand. We'll think about it, Westbridge's team said. Logan looked defeated. Uncle Ray looked concerned. That afternoon I got a private email from Westbridge's CFO. Deals approved. Thanks for everything, Mallory. You saved this relationship. I forwarded it to Logan with a simple note. Great news on Westbridge. He presented it to Uncle Ray like he'd personally turned things around. Uncle Ray praised him in the next all-hands meeting. I sat in the back and took notes. I didn't care about the credit anymore. I cared about who really trusted me. I raised concerns about Logan's approach in a team meeting. Professionally. With data. The client feedback shows some patterns we should address, I said, pulling up a report. Response times are slower and satisfaction scores are down in accounts Logan's managing. Uncle Ray's jaw tightened. Mallory, are you saying Logan isn't doing his job? I'm saying the numbers show room for improvement. Maybe you're being a bit oversensitive, he said. Logan's bringing fresh energy. Change makes people uncomfortable. This isn't about comfort. It's about client retention. He leaned forward. Relax, Mallory. Stop getting so emotional about this. Emotional. I'd presented data. Numbers. Client feedback. Professional analysis. And I was emotional. Logan had lost 2 clients through carelessness and was praised for having potential. I raised concerns with documentation and was told to relax. That night I started a new file. Not just records of my work. Records of everything. Every time Uncle Ray dismissed my concerns. Every time Logan got credit for my work. Every policy that was applied to me but not to him. Every double standard. Every broken promise. Every time I was treated as replaceable. If they wanted to call me emotional, fine. But I'd make sure my emotions were backed by evidence. I stopped fighting back. I started building alliances instead. People open up when you're underestimated. When management thinks you're just Mallory, coworkers tell you things they'd never say to someone they thought had power. I started really listening. The junior analysts hated how Logan took credit for their work. The client services team was drowning because Logan made promises they couldn't keep. Even the assistants knew he was in over his head. He asked me what a P&L statement was. One of them whispered. He's the senior account manager. I didn't gossip. I just listened. Nodded. Made mental notes. Logan was screwing up more than I'd realized. And I wasn't the only one noticing. Marcus from legal mentioned that Logan kept missing contract deadlines. Katie from finance said his expense reports were always wrong. Even Uncle Ray's own assistant, Patricia, who'd been with the company for 20 years, pulled me aside once. Between you and me, she said, this place would fall apart without you. I smiled. I just do my job. But I remembered. I remembered who was paying attention. Who saw through the performance. Who knew the truth. I was building something. Not loudly. Not obviously. But piece by piece I was building proof that I wasn't just valuable. I was essential. Logan lost the Blackstone account. Our 3rd biggest client. A relationship that went back 8 years. He'd ignored their concerns for weeks, missed 2 critical deadlines, and then tried to upsell them on services they'd specifically said they didn't want. They called Uncle Ray directly to terminate the contract. Uncle Ray tried to spin it in the next exec meeting. Market conditions, he said. Blackstone's cutting all outside consultants. I stayed quiet. Because 2 days earlier I'd already lined up their replacement. Garrison Industries. Bigger than Blackstone. Better margins. I'd been cultivating the relationship for months, ever since I saw Logan tanking the Blackstone account. When Garrison signed with us, the board asked how we'd landed them so fast. Mallory handled it, their CEO told Uncle Ray directly. She's been exceptional. Uncle Ray's expression flickered, just for a second. Something between surprise and concern. Logan tried to jump in. We really worked as a team on this. I worked with Mallory, Garrison's CEO said flatly. Nobody else. The boardroom went quiet. Uncle Ray recovered quickly. Great work, team. Mallory, excellent client management. Team. Not Mallory saved us. His team. But everyone in that room knew the truth. I'd stopped the bleeding Logan caused. And I'd done it without asking permission. I never filed an HR complaint. But I started asking questions. Casual questions to Patricia, Uncle Ray's assistant. About company policies. About how promotions usually worked. He pulled out old handbooks for me. Employee manuals from before I started. Just curious about the structure, I said. She smiled knowingly. Of course. I read them carefully. Found the section on nepotism and conflicts of interest. Company policy stated that family members couldn't directly report to each other in supervisory roles. And family members couldn't be promoted over more qualified candidates without board approval. Logan's promotion violated both rules. Uncle Ray had pushed it through without board approval. Just announced it as a done deal. I made copies. Highlighted the relevant sections. Saved them in my growing file. I wasn't ready to use this information yet. But I was gathering ammunition. That same week I had coffee with James from HR. Just friendly conversation. "How are things going with Logan?" he asked carefully. "Fine," I said. Then paused. "Actually, can I ask you something?" "Hypothetically." His expression shifted. "Of course. If someone was promoted in violation of company policy, what would happen?" James went very still. "That would require an investigation." "Why do you ask?" "Just curious," I said lightly. "Professional development." But we both knew what I was really saying. And James looked worried. My coworker Rachel pulled me aside after a meeting. "Careful," she whispered. "You're making waves." I raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "People are talking. Saying you're undermining Logan. That you're bitter about the promotion." "I'm doing my job." "I know that. But Ray's noticing. And he doesn't like it." I smiled. "Waves are how you flip ships, Rachel." She blinked. "What?" "Nothing. Thanks for the heads up." I wasn't trying to make waves. I was just refusing to drown in their mess. But I understood the warning. Uncle Ray was getting uncomfortable. He was seeing that Logan needed me more than I needed Logan. That was exactly what I wanted him to see. The rumor mill started spinning faster. Suddenly I was difficult. Not a team player. Someone whispered I was jealous of Logan's success. I didn't defend myself. Didn't push back. Didn't make a scene. I just kept showing up early, staying late, and making myself irreplaceable. Let them talk. Words fade. Results don't. And I had the results to prove it. The rumors got worse. People started treating me differently. Conversations would stop when I walked into the break room. I got left off email chains I should have been on. Uncle Ray pulled me aside once. "You need to be more supportive of Logan," he said. "This attitude isn't helping anyone." "What attitude?" I asked calmly. "This resistance. Everyone can feel it." I'd been doing Logan's work on top of my own. Covering his mistakes. Protecting his reputation. But asking questions made me resistant. "I'm just trying to maintain our standards," I said. "Maybe your standards are too high," he replied. I smiled. Nodded. Said nothing else. But that night I stayed late again. Answered emails Logan had ignored. Fixed errors in reports he'd submitted. Made sure our clients stayed happy despite his incompetence. The harder they tried to paint me as the problem, the more essential I became. I wasn't fighting them with words anymore. I was fighting them with evidence. Every saved email. Every documented conversation. Every record of my work versus Logan's failures. They wanted me to be quiet and replaceable. I'd be quiet. But I'd make damn sure they couldn't replace me. I was working late in the office library, hidden behind a wall of shelves, when Uncle Ray walked into the executive lounge next door. He didn't know I was there. "Logan's doing fine," I heard him say. Someone else laughed. "The board's asking questions, but it'll blow over." "What about Mallory?" another voice asked. I recognized it. David, the CEO. Uncle Ray sighed. "She's the backup plan. Always has been. Does the grunt work so Logan can focus on strategy." Backup plan. My hands froze on my laptop. "She's good though," David said. "Clients love her." "She's competent," Uncle Ray agreed. "But she doesn't have Logan's vision. His charisma. She's a worker, not a leader." I reached slowly into my bag and pulled out my phone. Hit record. "So what happens if Logan doesn't work out?" David pressed. "He'll work out," Uncle Ray said firmly. "He just needs time. And Mallory will keep things running smoothly while he learns. That's what she's good at. Supporting others." They talked for another 5 minutes. I recorded every word. When they finally left, I sat in the dark library, hands shaking. Backup plan. Not a leader. Good at supporting others. I saved the recording with the rest of my files. They thought I was the safety net. They had no idea I was building the trap. The quarterly board meeting was Logan's big moment. He was presenting the strategic plan for our largest account cluster. Work I'd actually done, but he was taking the lead. Uncle Ray had coached him for days. This was supposed to prove Logan deserved his position. I sat in the back of the boardroom, laptop open, ready to take notes. Logan started strong. Confident smile. Good eye contact. He'd memorized the opening well. Then the CFO asked a question. Can you break down the ROI projections for the garrison expansion? Logan hesitated. Yes, the ROI is strong. Very strong. I can see that. I'm asking for the breakdown. The methodology. Well, we use standard industry calculations. Which ones specifically? Logan's confident smile flickered. He clicked through slides looking lost. I could have helped. Could have jumped in with the answer. I stayed silent. Uncle Ray tried to rescue him. We can follow up with detailed documentation. I'd like to understand it now, the CFO said firmly. This is a major investment. Logan fumbled through an explanation that made no sense. Used terms incorrectly. The board members exchanged glances. Finally, the CFO turned to the back of the room. Mallory's here, right? Why wasn't she leading this presentation? Every head turned toward me. Uncle Ray's face went tight. Logan's the senior account manager, who apparently doesn't understand his own proposal, the CFO said. Mallory, can you explain this? I stood up slowly. And I did. Uncle Ray pulled me into his office right after the meeting. His face was red, jaw clenched. What was that? He demanded. The CFO asked me a question. I answered it. You undermined Logan. Made him look incompetent in front of the board. I stayed calm. Logan made himself look incompetent. He didn't understand the proposal because he didn't build it. I did. You're supposed to support him, Mallory. I have been. For months. I've covered his mistakes, fixed his errors, and done his job while he takes credit. How much more support do you want? His voice dropped dangerously low. You're not owed a future here, Mallory. I gave you this job. I can take it away. Something cold settled in my chest. No, I said quietly. You gave me an opportunity. I earned everything after that. Every client relationship. Every successful project. Every dollar I've brought in. I didn't inherit that. I built it. He leaned forward. Watch your tone. My tone is professional, I said. Just like my work. Which is more than I can say for Logan. Get out. I left. But I didn't go home. I went back to my desk and opened my files. It was time to move to the next phase. Logan got sloppy with the numbers. He'd been trying to make his Q2 performance look better than it was. Fudging timelines on client acquisitions. Stretching revenue projections. Nothing technically illegal but definitely against company policy. I caught it while reviewing reports he'd submitted to the board. For a moment I considered confronting him directly. Giving him a chance to fix it. Then I remembered, Mallory's talented but she's replaceable. I documented everything. Screenshots. Spreadsheet comparisons. Emails showing the real timelines versus what Logan reported. Then I compiled it into a clean, professional packet. No accusations. No commentary. Just facts. That night I created a new email account. Generic name. Untraceable. And I sent the packet to the company's compliance team. Subject line. Concerning discrepancies in Q2 reporting. I attached the evidence and hit send. Then I deleted the email account and went home. The next morning I went to work like normal. Smiled at Logan in the hallway. Asked him how his weekend was. He had no idea what was coming. The board received the anonymous compliance report on Thursday morning. I know because Patricia told me the board members were calling emergency meetings. Uncle Ray looked stressed all day, door closed, phone constantly ringing. Logan was called into Uncle Ray's office at 2 p.m. He came out looking pale. By Friday the compliance team had opened a full audit. Not just of Logan's reports. Of every project he'd managed since his promotion. It's probably nothing, Logan told me nervously. Just routine. I'm sure it's fine, I said. But we both knew it wasn't. The audit team worked through the weekend. Monday morning they were still in the conference room going through files. Uncle Ray tried to control the situation. I heard him on calls, explaining that it was just a misunderstanding, that Logan was still learning the systems. But the board wasn't accepting excuses anymore. Too many clients had complained. Too many projects had gone wrong. Too many people had quietly mentioned that Mallory seemed to be doing the real work. The anonymous report was just the final piece. The evidence that something was seriously wrong. And once they started digging they found everything. The audit revealed more than I expected. Logan's mistakes went deeper than fudged numbers. He'd violated client confidentiality agreements, missed regulatory filing deadlines, made contractual commitments he wasn't authorized to make. And Uncle Ray had signed off on all of it. Every corner Logan cut, Uncle Ray had approved. Every protocol Logan ignored, Uncle Ray had excused. The board called a special meeting. I wasn't invited, but Patricia quietly told me what happened. They're going through everything, she whispered. Every decision Ray made about Logan. They're questioning whether he's fit to lead. What about Logan? She shook her head. He's already being pushed out. Ray's trying to protect himself now. The board members started circling, asking questions about succession planning, about who actually managed the key client relationships. My name came up repeatedly. The CFO asked to meet with me privately. How long have you been covering for Logan? He asked bluntly. I could have lied. Protected Uncle Ray one last time. Instead I opened my laptop. I have documentation, I said. If you want to see it. The head of strategy, Eleanor Vance, called me into her office Tuesday morning. The board is considering major changes, she said carefully. If this ship goes down, we want to make sure the right people are steering the next one. I stayed quiet, waiting. We've reviewed your record, your client retention rates, your project success, your discretion during this difficult time. I'm just doing my job. You've been doing several people's jobs. She leaned forward. The board is considering asking for Ray's resignation. And Logan's. We need to know if you'd be willing to step into a leadership role. My heart pounded. This was it. The moment I'd been working toward. But I didn't say yes immediately. I'd need to see the full scope of the role, I said. And I'd want to make changes to how we structure client management. Eleanor smiled slightly. We figured you would. Draft a proposal. Present it to the board Friday. Not interim? I asked. Not interim. Full position. I walked out of her office with my hands shaking. I'd done it. Almost. One more move to make. I scheduled the board meeting. Booked the room. Wrote the agenda. Friday at 10 a.m. Full board attendance required. Uncle Ray walked in thinking it was a routine strategy session. I'd kept the real agenda vague. He saw me at the head of the table and frowned. Mallory, what are you doing here? Presenting, I said calmly. The board members took their seats. Eleanor nodded at me to begin. I pulled up my first slide. 6 years ago I started at this company as an entry-level analyst. I began. Since then I've managed 17 major accounts with a 98% retention rate. I've brought in $47 million in revenue. And I've trained or supported every junior team member we've hired. Uncle Ray's face went red. What is this? Let her finish, the CFO said quietly. I clicked to the next slide. 3 months ago, Logan Pierce was promoted to senior account manager despite having 4 months of experience. Since then, client satisfaction has dropped 23%. We've lost 3 major accounts. And revenue in Logan's portfolio is down $8 million. I showed the numbers. The client feedback. The timeline of failures. Uncle Ray stood up. This is inappropriate. Sit down, Ray, Eleanor said. He sat. I looked directly at him. You told everyone I was replaceable. You promoted someone unqualified because of personal relationships. And you've put this entire company at risk. I built this company. And I've been holding it together while you let it fall apart. The board voted. First on Logan. Unanimous decision. Immediate termination. Then on Uncle Ray. The CFO read the charges. Violation of company nepotism policies. Negligent oversight. Breach of fiduciary duty to the board and shareholders. We're calling for a vote of no confidence, Eleanor said. Uncle Ray's face went gray. You can't do this. We are. The vote was 6-2. He was out. He stood up slowly, looked around the room. Then his eyes landed on me. I gave you everything, he said quietly. You gave me a chance, I replied. I earned everything else. And you tried to take it away. This is how you repay me. After I raised you? After everything I did. I met his gaze steadily. You taught me something important. Loyalty without respect is just manipulation. You never respected me. You just wanted someone grateful enough to control. You'll regret this. No, I said. I won't. Security escorted him out. Logan had already cleaned out his desk and left. The boardroom was quiet. Then Eleanor turned to me. We'd like to offer you the interim leadership role. I'd prepared for this moment. Rehearsed my response. Drop the interim, I said. I've been running things for years. Make it permanent or I walk. The board members looked at each other. The CFO smiled slightly. Done. They gave me a week before the official announcement. I spent that week meeting with every department head. Rebuilding trust. Laying out my vision. People were nervous. Uncle Ray had been there for 20 years. He'd built relationships, commanded respect. But he'd also created a culture of favoritism and fear. I'm not interested in running things his way, I told the senior team. I want to build something better. But I need your honesty. What's broken? What needs to change? They told me. Everything they'd been afraid to say before. The policies that made no sense. The projects that had been failing for months. The toxic dynamics Uncle Ray had ignored. I listened. Took notes. Started making plans. Friday afternoon the announcement went out. Mallory Pierce named Chief Operating Officer. Will oversee all client operations and strategic development. My phone exploded with messages. Some congratulatory. Some shocked. A few angry texts from people loyal to Uncle Ray. I ignored them all. Instead I walked down to Uncle Ray's old office. The door was open. The desk was cleared. Patricia was inside, boxing up his personal items. They want you to move in Monday, she said. I looked around the space. Big windows. Expensive furniture. The nameplate on the desk still read, R. Halston. Can you order a new nameplate? I asked. Patricia smiled. Already done. Monday morning I walked into my new office. The nameplate on the desk read, Mallory Pierce, Chief Operating Officer. I ran my fingers over the letters. My name. My title. My desk. Not because someone gave it to me. But as I earned it. I sat down in the chair. Opened my laptop. Started working through the changes I'd been planning for months. There was so much to fix. So much to rebuild. But for the first time in 6 years, I wasn't working for someone else's approval. I was building something of my own. Around noon, Patricia knocked on my door. The Garrison Industries CEO is on line 1. Says he wanted to congratulate you personally. I smiled. Put him through. As I answered the call, I glanced at the nameplate again. People spend their lives trying to convince you that being replaceable is just part of the job. That loyalty means accepting less than you deserve. That you should be grateful for whatever scraps you're given. But loyalty without respect is just manipulation. They thought I was quiet because I was weak. But quiet doesn't mean powerless. It means patient. And I played the long game, until I was the last one standing. Not because I destroyed them. Because they destroyed themselves. I just documented it.